Well, I understand I got a lot on my mind, a lot on my chest. That's why.
Am I muted? I'll be doggone. I was muted. That's okay. Problem averted. So, to start over, what's going on, everybody? I'm Lloyd Jones with Midnight Comics and your host for the Indie Breakdown, the show where we break down your favorite indie comic book characters' power stats and abilities and get them ready for an indie versus matchup. So, we are back with part two, if you would, of the Indie Gauntlet. We have two tournaments running at the same time. We have a high tier and low tier version of the tournament. So, we get your god tier characters over here and closer to your street level tier characters on the low end side. And so, essentially, we're going to just dive right back into it. I'll give you a brief recap as to what was going on in last week's matchups, who won, and all that jazz, and then we are going to dive into why did that switch over to that? Hold on. And then we're going to dive into the contestants for today, and then we're going to look at the conversations that took place, give our 2 cents as to who we believe would win that matchup. We definitely want to hear what you guys have to say as it relates to that. And who moves forward in the Indie Gauntlet? I am here. Right, facts. All right. So, now that I have that posted officially in the group, because I know, so interesting situation, right? So, in regards to I know you noticed that it'll go live on the Midnight Comics page, but not the Indie Breakdown page. And I got to share it from the Midnight Comics page to the group, that whole thing. It's because the Indie Breakdown page doesn't have at least 100 people in it yet. So I will try to make a big push here soon to get people to follow that page, which what I want to do on that page, and I'm working with some folks in regards to that, is we want to kind of scout out other indie creators and showcase their stuff all the same like we do on the page. But think of that page more of like a just indie highlight, right? Where you're just consistently getting highlights of people that we just happen to see and just like, oh man, that's awesome. If you guys checked it out, check it out, right? And then the group is where all of the camaraderie, matches, events, and all that other stuff happens. But anyway, we're getting there. Just trying to do a lot at the same time has caused some burnout, right? So anyway, that portion aside, we are here with that. And for some reason, and I said it last time, I need to, for some reason, it keeps auto posting a Kickstarter from like 3 years ago at this point on my lives for this. So that's a bit frustrating. But anyway, here we go. So last time around, we had on the low tier tournament side, we had Grave versus Funnet, with Grave coming out on top. We had Sledge versus Black Bat, with Black Bat coming out on top, and that was a very close kind of. It could go either way, but I think it was because of how the force field worked for Sledge was the only reason why, because it had to be like inorganic stuff wasn't able to penetrate it, but organic attacks, abilities, beings, what have you, could pass through it. So you could shoot at them and it wouldn't work. But if somebody turned into mist, they'd be able to penetrate the force field. And that's how Black Bat was able to edge out that victory. This time around, we have two more matches that got posted like that day or the day before. So we didn't want to have them do their matchup quite yet because we wanted to make sure they had time to discuss, time to talk, time to you know what I'm saying, actually voice, why their character would win. So, with all that being said, today we're going to be going over the Kaiser versus Omen. So the Kaiser is a character from Ben 1, and then we also have Omen, which is Spiff Nation's character. Later, we're going to go over Bolt versus Matrix. That's what we'll go over second. Bolt is by Roscoe Glinton, and Matrix is by B.C. Gladney. And then lastly, over on the high tier side, we have one match left on that end. To go over the matches that took place last week, we had Heartline Menace versus Atridian. With Heartline Menace being able to come out on top, we did spend a lot of time discussing how to equalize their powers within the verse, mainly staying on the Sword of Justice since we have more intel on that versus Heartline Menace that kind of stands kind of outside of the realm of universes that like essentially the Sword of Justice would be bound to, if you will, or the concept of it anyway. That one again could be another sort of toss-up match that can go either way. Depends on how each of them continue to grow the characters and basically discuss all of their potential and all of that. So anyway, Heartline Menace won that match. Then we had Gago versus Judah's Lion King, with Gago coming out on top on that. Lion King was a character that could potentially change landscapes, right? Destroy mountains, so on and so forth. Whereas Gago is a cosmic being, so it was a bit of a mismatch there. The other matchup that we had was Gaia versus Blitz, which Blitz couldn't be a part of the tournament at that point, so the match just kind of went to Gaia as a forfeit. And so today's matchup, we actually will have Hurricane versus Solar. So, again, the three matches that we're going to go through today is Hurricane versus Solar on the high tier side, the Kaiser versus Omen, and Bolt versus Matrix on the low tier side. We're going to go based off of interaction and engagement. So, with the lowest engagement at this point right now, we're going to start with the Kaiser versus Omen. We will bring up the fan vote. It was very close, but Ben won with 7 over Omen's, or Spiff Nation's 6 in regards to Omen. So, will the popular vote character win in the form of the Kaiser? Let's find out. And yes, if any of the creators are here, got to throw into any extra context, any nuance that was missed that we're not gathering here within the comment section, so on and so forth. Feel free to jump in and let's further discuss. So we're going to go ahead and share this tab over here instead. There are the contestants, the characters, so on and so forth. So let's take a look at the comment section here. So we had 2 people that just dropped who they think would win, which is cool. Now Spiff, he jumps in and tells us a little bit about Omen here. So core passive power. So world collapse field Omen. Whoa, sorry. I'm assuming the name of the thing is the world collapse sphere. And then he says, Omen generates a wide aura where enemies grow weaker and he grows stronger. Let's go over that again. Wait a second. He generates a wide aura where enemies grow weaker and he grows stronger. Insane. Healing slows, buffs weaken, and spiritual pressure crushes weaker beings the longer they remain in his radius of 100 yards. Dad, what's going on, bro? What's going on? And Spiff at the end here, say what's up. He has a soul attack. So the soul shatter. He is able to so there's that comment there, and then there's bam. I want to make sure I missed nothing just now. So soul attack. So soul shatter, a deadly attack that bypasses armor, shields, and durability to hit the enemy's soul directly. It could paralyze, drain, or permanently damage spiritual integrity. I'm getting what is the name of that Dragon Ball move? Stardust Breaker vibes from that. Spiff said, okay, there he is. I'm here. What's going on, bro? And again, since you're in here, man, if I misrepresent the character anyway, or I'm not understanding a particular move, of course, as always, y'all let me know. Elaborate a little bit, help me understand any nuances and stuff I may be missing. Next up, we have Void Summoning. He's got Tentacle Portals. Omen opens portals in space around the battlefield to summon large void tentacles that grab, slam, or skewer enemies. Bet broski heckshare. I bet. Skewer enemy. In side comments, we made a post a while back about the show coming back. I believe the 6 slots were full. And that did not include you. So 7 is full because I know me and you talked in the past about you coming on the show official. So that's 7. I got a couple slots open. We only do 10. So there's a couple people I do want to reach out to specifically, but if you haven't responded to that post, definitely go back and check that out. What's up, love?
What are you talking about?
Ray is downstairs.
She don't come in the room complaining to me about pizza.
I don't know. All right. So anyway, yeah. Message me after or what have you. But yeah, well, I'm gonna start sending those links out in the next week or so to go ahead and get season 4 going. Tavis, what's going on, dude? What's going on? So we're in the middle of explaining Omen. Had a little brief intermission there. The show is coming back. If you have a published story, let me know. Respond to the post from a little while back. Let's get it sorted out. We got about three slots left for that. So, tentacle portals. Omen Obviously, yeah, we started to say that grab, slam, or skewer enemies from any angle, including ceilings and shadows. Next up, we have drone support. Drones of the End is what it's called. He summons 10 to 20 steel grade drones that hover, scout, and fire a laser blast. Some can deploy force field nets to trap or drag enemies toward him. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest. This guy, whew, I don't know Kaiser. We ain't even read Kaiser stuff yet, but I'm already leaning Omen. All right, so throne mode. Throne of the End. Lloyd 8. When summoned, Omen sits on a massive void throne. While seated, he cannot move or attack. Turn that down, please. He cannot move or attack directly. He becomes protected by a powerful force field and defense aura. So, okay, let me finish reading. Tentacles and drones fight on his behalf. So he has a force field and a defense aura. So like it's like a twofold like force field situation. Let me know. Or is it like there's a force field like around him in the chair, but then he also has that aura that was discussed earlier via the world collapse sphere, and he has a that's like 100 radius, and then there is the throne that also has a force field. Let me know. And then lastly, he has the defense aura. Tentacles and drones fight on his behalf while he's here. So, like, being on the throne seemingly gives him just access to all the abilities at the same time, seemingly. And then he has the throne defense zone. So, red sigil zone. A glowing rune circle surrounds the throne, and any enemy who enters it is automatically attacked by magical void spikes. Only high-level speed, intangibility, or flight can evade its 50-foot radius. Okay. So the throne itself has a 50-foot radius, and that's on top of that, he has a field himself that has a 100-yard radius. So you in trouble just from the jump. All right, let's see what Kaiser has. Okay, well, first, Fifth has what the match would start off looking like. So he's giving us an explanation here, which, thank you. Thank you. All right. Omen would start by sitting on his throne and activating it, letting his drones and tentacles do the work when he sits down. The throne creates a force field that makes it hard for physical attacks and magical attacks to go through. And the throne's defense zone activates, and you see red, I'm assuming sigils, on the floor in a 50-foot radius. And when someone passes through it that isn't intangible, it automatically sends sharp, long spikes piercing or slicing enemies who cross within this radius. Omen is the bringer of the apocalypse. When you fight him, you see why he's so powerful. As soon as you try to challenge him and are in a 100-yard radius, somewhat of the radius of a football field, you're automatically brought into a pocket dimension where you see the apocalypse. Jesus Christ. Rumble everywhere, destroy, collapse buildings, and you become weaker, and he becomes stronger while you are in his radius. Omen sits on his throne and lets his tentacle summoning that comes from portals that he creates and hold on. I'm reading it, but I need to hold on. Explanations. We're gonna go back to the previous one right quick. So Omen is literally the bringer of the apocalypse. When you fight him, you see why he's so powerful. As soon as you challenge him and are in a 100-yard radius, somewhat of the size of a football field, or the radius of a football field, you're automatically brought into a pocket dimension. cooked. You're going to see rumbling everywhere, destroyed and collapsed buildings, and you're going to become weaker as he becomes stronger in his space. I'm thinking domain expansion type situation. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Omen sits on his throne and lets his tentacle summoning that comes from portals that he creates and drones that he summons deal with his opponent. If they're worthy to get past that, then that's when he leaves his throne and fights, and then you'll see how powerful he truly is. The first attack, while he's sitting on his throne, watches his opponent. You see 20 drones start flying through the sky. The drones can shoot lasers comparable to guns in Star Wars, and they can drop energy nets to capture his enemies. This is the first wave that he sends out. I want to see how my opponent deals with it. I have a question. Where do the drones come from? Does everything come from the pocket dimension that he puts them in? Or is there a secondary pocket dimension that he's pulling these abilities from? Because if you're sending somebody to a pocket dimension automatically, again, yeah, I'm curious if there's any connectivity between all that. And again, is the drone something that is native to this pocket dimension, or does he just have also have technology that he also just has a part of him readily accessible and available to him at any point? So we're going to move on as you, if you're still there, as you type and answer that question. Here's a little bit from Ben Wan's The Kaiser. The Kaiser is the head of the 5 families of supervillains who have taken over Detroit in Alter Ego, and the most powerful, most dangerous one who keeps them all in line under his rule. So, his core power. So there is a separate pocket dimension. So Omen has access to... So, okay. And the drones are native to these pocket dimensions as well, or was that just answering the so there's the pocket dimension to bring people to, and then there's another pocket dimension where some of these attacks and stuff come from. What about the drones? Is the drones just those 20 so drones or something that's always hovering around him, or is he pulling that from a headquarters somewhere within these dimensions? Let me know. But yeah, core power. The Kaiser has telekinesis. The Kaiser is the most powerful telekinetic from his world, able to move anything with his mind and use it as a weapon without lifting a finger. Okay, Spiff says yes. Okay, bet. He could also telekinetically lift. So so if it's native to that, I am curious to know the technology of this pocket dimension then. Is there an entire sort of race of entities that live here, government, science, societies, that whole thing, that are building it? And like, is there kind of a, how do you say, like foreign materials and stuff that are utilized to build these drones? And kind of we don't have to go really that into detail, but I am curious to know how foreign the materials are for the drones. Is it something that we're used to, or is it something that's kind of like, I say antimetal as an example, right? But, vibranium, right? That type of thing where it's like, hey, this isn't from Earth, right? This is something wholly just from this pocket dimension that is not anything that is understood, nor do we really have an answer for in the real world, right, per se. But yeah, if you could give us a little bit more about the drones themselves, since they are also from that pocket dimension, a little bit like what they're made of. Are they firing bullets per se, or is it what kind of? I guess you did say they're shooting beams like in Star Wars, right? But tell me about the outer shell and stuff like that. Is there any means of going through that, or destroying any type of metal, or what kind of metal rather is it possibly? But he can lift anything from the environment to use as both a shield and a weapon. Let me start over with him. I'm sorry, I keep bouncing back and forth here. So again, the Kaiser is the most powerful telekinetic in his world. He's able to move anything with his mind and use it as a weapon without lifting a finger. He can also telekinetically lift anything from the environment and to use as both a shield and a weapon. And during an attempted assault by a group of policemen, he's able to not only redirect the bullets back to them, but also use dead bodies of his opponents as projectiles to continue thinning out the herd. All right, I do see Spiff's comment. I'm going to finish reading Ben Wan's situation. We're going to revisit the comment here, and then we're gonna move forward on the matchup here. So strategic ruthlessness. Coming from a world where everyone wants to unseat his throne, unseat his throne, the Kaiser remains in his position due to his sociopathic lack of attachment. He is prepared to murder anyone who opposes him, even his own flesh and blood, if he has to. And in the most sadistic way possible, he often finds ways to figure out his opponent's psychological weaknesses and use that leverage against them, including manipulating lovers into killing each other. And in a random encounter, he will quickly observe what his enemy takes pride in and find a way to take that away from them in the most devastating way possible. Now, I'm going to say it doesn't seem like in this matchup that's really going to come into play. Like the ruthlessness and kind of just, lack of a better word, like a bloodlusted nature of the Kaiser kind of would give an edge for anybody else, because honestly, this guy Omen looks like he's not really worried about being ruthless or anything of that nature either. So let's go ahead and take a look here. With his telekinetic abilities and hyper awareness of his environment, the Kaiser would gather Omen's drones from the sky. Okay, wait a second. With his telekinetic abilities and hyper awareness of his environment. Okay. I don't know why that sounded weird to me. The Kaiser would gather Omen's drones from the sky, okay, and turn them into a weaponized shield for himself as he moves forward with the drones now firing upon the remaining tentacle defenses to get to Omen's throne. The Kaiser would then bend the throne's defense zone spikes to miss him as he passes through, which then becomes a one-on-one battle between the Kaiser and Omen directly. So here's, off the dome, really quick, between the space that he's able to pull them into. Hold on, where is it at? Hold on. Where you see the, okay. So getting within that 100-yard radius, he's gonna get into a pocket dimension where he's just going to see destruction all around him. So let me ask this. Is Omen also teleported into this dimension, or is this something that they enter? Maybe I'm overthinking here. As you try to challenge him, and you're within 100 radius, somewhere, you're automatically brought into a pocket dimension where you see the apocalypse. So, like, it feels like, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm going to look at your what you said just a second ago. You're facing him. He's sitting on the throne. You get into 100 radius, and then you said, "Oops!" Now he's in the pocket dimension. Does Omen also go to the pocket dimension, or is he standing there waiting for you to break out on some Tsukiyomi type stuff? I'm curious about that. But let me because now, like, again, able to move anything, lift anything. Like, yes, sure, but now we're talking about tentacles and stuff from alternative dimensions, right? And I want to assume that these are living, kind of this connected to a living entity, right? In regards to the tentacles and stuff like that. So is there a greater beast that's connected to these tentacles that could be moved in such a way? Like the spikes and stuff, yeah, maybe. But I'm curious about the whole tentacle thing. I'm curious about that. So let me read what you have, and then we'll dive a little deeper here. So the drones are like his scouts, and he's always has them to capture his opponents. Okay, got you. So it's not something that's native to these alternative or other dimensions. These is just tech that he has from the real world here. They're like still drones. He realistically has thousands of them scouting out the apocalypse. He's got thousands of them scouting out the apocalypse. He has them roaming around to capture enemies of the rebellion. His tentacles come from the void, the same place Dom gets his powers from. Is this connected to Oh, okay. Omen is okay. He's Hopebreaker's son. Okay. Okay. So it's connected. Bet. Okay. Hmm. Okay. So Dre says lifting anything from the environment is crazy. Mountain ranges are to be lifted, large body of water, etc. Hell, he could lift Omen out of his range and crush him like a force user. That is very valid. But counter argument, he can bring him out of the throne, but then he still has to worry about the world collapse field where Omen himself is able to. Now, let me. Now, tell me about the world collapse field then, Spiff. Is the world collapse field the same as that pocket dimension? Because they have the same, if not very similar effects. Um, they have very similar effects where they get weaker while they're in it and all of that, right? Hold on, let me make sure I'm not you're automatically put into the pocket dimension where you see the apocalypse, and then yeah, he becomes stronger. Your opponent becomes weaker, but then there's also the world collapse field. The first thing here generates a wide aura where enemies grow weaker and he grows stronger. Healing slows, buffs weaken, and spiritual pressure crushes weaker beings the longer they remain in his radius, the 100 yard radius. Is the world collapse field the same thing as the pocket dimension that was previously discussed? Because now, counter argument to what Dre posted about that is, yeah, if you pull him out from the throne that has its own kind of auto abilities with the throne defense zone, but you're in the world collapse field, you go from being able to lift anything to slowly being limited in that ability. So if it's rubble everywhere, he has plenty of projectiles to battle the drone and tentacles or make drones and tentacles hit each other. That's true. That's absolutely true. Um, what is hmm? Talk to us, Spiff. talk to us. Hold on. If it's rubble everywhere, he has plenty of projectiles. To battle the drone tentacles. Yeah. I think I just read that. He doesn't have to bring him close. He could be 120 yards away, lift him, crush him, and walk off. Spiff, talk to me. What you got? What you got in response to that? Because that's valid. That's valid. What is? I'm going to assume outside of these abilities, Omen is a regular guy. Yes. In regards to that durability and strength, so on. Um. Mm, that is valid. That is valid. Dang. That's a very valid point, bro. Okay. Okay. So, dang, Jay. That was a valid point. He's not the Kaiser doesn't seem like a character, or basically the information that we have, the Kaiser isn't a character that's gonna try to run up and punch you. He's gonna chill out and use his telekinetic abilities to his fullest. Specifically that line where he said without even having to touch anything. Like he's able to just lift things straight with his mind like that. All right, so let's see. Uh, so Smith responded to Benoit's initial comment about, and I'll reread it, about the fact that with his telekinetic abilities and hyper awareness of his environment, the Kaiser would gather Omen's drones from the sky and turn them into a weaponized shield for himself as he moves forward. With the drones now firing upon the remaining tentacle defenses to get to Omen's throne, the Kaiser would then bend the throne's defense zone spikes to miss him as he passes through, which then becomes a one-on-one battle. Now here's so what Dre said was valid, but was that what Ben said he would do? And see, um, like I said in the post, best explanation wins, right? And so if we, obviously we can come up with ideal scenarios with who we think will win, right? But it's the best explanation. It's the take into account what each person could do. How would you defend against this person with the knowledge that you have? Just like our favorite characters in TV shows, you know, movies, anime, so on and so forth. 9 times out of 10, they're very limited in their knowledge as to what the people can do. And so here is the problem, unfortunately, with this first line, the first paragraph in regards to the Kaiser's attack. He focused on the drones. He has the drones firing at the tentacles, which would the bullets or lasers affect the tentacle defenses? Let us know, Dre. Are they weak to those blasts? Because now we're talking about basically solely your tech versus your pocket dimension entities. Would it be affected? Right? Only you would have that answer. Let us know. And then, um, yeah, sure. If he can bend anything or use telekinetic abilities to move the spikes and stuff out of the way as he passes through, like, cool, right? But that's only answering for the spikes. How many tentacles are there at any point in time? Again, very nuanced questions that we don't have the answer to. But the real question is, would the firing of the drones work on the tentacles? And let's be completely honest, would the drones continue to fire? And I guess maybe we're assuming the Kaiser is able to automatically cause the fire from the drones to continue going off. Whatever, toss up. So anyway, the baseline question is, would the drones attacks on the tentacles have an effect on them? Your brother's on the way to pick them up. But yeah, then it becomes a one-on-one battle. So then Spiff's response was his spikes are, hold on, actually, he would have to get past his throne. Got you, my bad. He would have to get past his throne, which could protect him from multiple enemies and powerful attacks. And then Dre says, no, Omen is on people like Superman's level. Man, y'all should have let me know where his characters are in regards to Stray. Because I would have had him in high tier if he was Superman level strength. I think I saw that same thing on the Bolt when I was going to have a whole side tangent conversation about that. He would have to get past his throw. We just read that. Dre says, no, not at all. Oh, he's not getting close at all. His force users all day, Vader style, hand up, crush, walk off. If he chooses to get close, he must think it's just sweet. If Omen is Homebreaker's son, he probably got hands. Yeah. No, I agree on that. But yeah. If Dre was writing the Kaiser and he just went straight Vader style with it, I could see this win. I'm going to scroll through the rest of the comments and see what he we're going to see what Ben ended up saying, but just using the drones as a shield and then getting close to this character who, again, realistically, if we're just taking the character based on how we used to do, basically, okay, here's the character as we know him. He seems like the character that's just going to stand back. He's going to use his psychic abilities, just like Dre said. He's going to go straight Vader with it. He's not walking he's not walking this guy down. He's not. But that's our assumption. Unfortunately, in our first paragraph here, he's using the drones as a shield, and he is walking down Omen. He's going to try to walk him down. So Smith says the spikes are magical. They come from a red sigil on the ground. They shoot upwards, piercing anything it senses approaching in a 50-foot radius. Omen would summon his tentacles from the void from different angles, with each tentacle having a different objective. 2 tentacles to grab, 2 tentacles to slam down on him. Omen is calm and he knows his purpose. He has other tentacles attacking the drones, attached to the drones, I'm assuming, taking away I guess attacking the drones to take away that defense. Then he also says Kaiser is also weaker because he's in Omen's radius, and that makes Omen stronger. Lawful Evil says the Kaiser sounds more interesting, so I'll take him. And then Spiff says Omen is a being that created the apocalypse. His durability is on the level of someone like the Silver Surfer, and his soul shatter is like Hopebreaker's, where he can bypass anything physical and directly attack the soul. Omen would stay seated on his throne and watch tentacles attack his opponent from different angles and rush him, speed blitzing him, and hitting him with soul shatter, going straight for the kill. He uses his tentacles to cover his movement by using blind spots and the tentacles are still keeping him busy from multiple angles, grabbing and slamming him. Omen would wait for an opening and soul shatter the Kaiser, bypassing any of his durability, directly attacking and destroying his soul. Ben Wan says, I think the fans voting have to consider a few questions. One, whether the tentacles and magical spikes from Omen would nullify boom. How about now? Okay. Heck yeah. All right. So, whatever happened, we're back now. Is it still doing it? Oh, okay. All right. So, we're back. So sorry. Not sure what the heck happened. All right. So, anyway, threw off what I was saying. Drones can't get to the field. If they attack others, what's keeping him from throwing back like metal footballs? Right. All right. Question for you, Spiff. What would your defense do against your own drones? If just hurled back at you. Because I know you mentioned in the comments like, hey, two would do this, two would do that. So with the tentacles occupied, what is the defense that that Omen has at that kind of point? But then also durability wise, I'm curious. Could Omen be shot? Could Omen be, you know what I'm saying, burned? That type of thing. What is his level of durability, per se? And now I'm gonna continue to scroll down here. Also, for those interested in the Kaiser, you can check out the. Okay, all right. All right, I don't think the Kaiser is fast enough to even react to Omen by the time he destroys his soul. Now, yeah. Omen has fought against heroes and villains with all sorts of abilities. He is part of a prophecy that would bring the apocalypse. He managed to wipe out entire armies. As soon as you enter his radius and present yourself against him, this is when he puts you in his world. He is now essentially a god in his future. The reason why he sits on his throne is because he's already defeated some of the most powerful beings in the universe, so he lets his drones and his tentacles do his bidding. Omen is one of those beings where you need a team in order to take him down, and even then, it'll be hard. Omen can't physically move while he activates his throne force field, but the throne itself can move at his will. So if he wanted to stay on a passive aggressive tone, he could have the throne fly towards his opponent, and so the throne can move. His opponent and keep the defenses up and keep the defenses up. So anything in this 50-foot radius would then automatically get targeted by his red sigil zone. I'm going to pause there. So hypothetically then, his plan to use, whatever to fire something telekinetically from behind could hit him, because his defenses only work on his commander will. So if he doesn't see it coming, then he might still get hurt. So now I'm curious to know, Spiff, again, what is Omen's kind of upper reaches of durability, especially when caught off guard, right? And to give an example, you always use Dragon Ball as an example. We have two instances in Super where Goku was caught off guard, and you're talking about a version of him. Um, Plenty of statements in regards to Battle of Gods that, oh my gosh, they're going to destroy the universe based on how strong their blows were. But then you go to Resurrection F and he gets shot by a laser beam, right? And then after the Universe 6, Universe 7 tournament, he fights those buggers or burglars, whatever, after, he's selling cabbage and stuff like that. And he gets shot and he blocks it, but it leads to scuff mark. Right now, again, you can argue that key was out of whack and stuff like that, but without that key control, they can be hurt like regular people. Not regular people. I say it cautiously because Goku got shot at as a kid and didn't get killed, but they are getting scuffed. Beings that can destroy the universes by throwing punches are getting scuffed and hurt by man-made material. So I'm curious to know, when Omen is caught off guard by whatever telekinetic ability that the Kaiser might throw at him from, say, behind or what have you, um, what is Omen's durability level as a whole? His durability is on the level of characters like Silver Surfer, Superman. People on that tier list is force field around his throne already has its own protection as well. Now, again, the reason why I bring that up, right, because, how to say? Well, I already said it. Characters that are destroying universes still get hurt. Um, what are some things in universe then is a better question then. What are some things in universe that can hurt Omen? And so now we can kind of help scale that, because we see Superman, whether he's allowing it to happen or he is actually getting knocked back by things, right? Um, we've seen it happen, right? But what is that upper echelon there? Because again, we're talking about a character that can move anything. So hypothetically, with telekinetic abilities and with no limits, as we're doing with these characters right now, he could move the chair. Hypothetically, the Kaiser could move the chair. He could move the armor off of Omen, hypothetically. So I want to know, again, as we were kind of spitballing here, abilities and durability and stuff like that. What are some things in verse? And if anybody knows where Ben is, message him or what have you, and see if he can provide us some insight into the upper echelons of the Kaiser. But spiritual attacks like Hope Breaker, magical things like that. Okay, so he's specifically only wounded by magical beings and stuff like that. Okay. So honestly, then, if magic is really his only weaknesses, so okay, Dre's asking some good questions here. So what happens to a zone once he is passed? If moving forward, if he is at the end zone and moves the throne to another end zone, what happens to the items or people that were in his zone back in the other zone? Are they now free? And does his zone work on items or just sentient life? Valid. Yeah. What happens? If they're moved, does it break? Let's keep it a buck. Let's be real. Um, if we're saying that the only thing that hurts Omen is magical, then there is nothing that the Kaiser has. Um, there's nothing that Kaiser has because I mean, there's just nothing he has that's magical. We could try to argue that maybe he could try to use the tentacles or spikes that's being fired or shot around or anything like that that's in defense, and maybe use that to his advantage and try to hit him with those abilities and stuff like that. But there's too much nuance, I guess, that's going to be missing from this back and forth to do that. Yeah, they are free. 100-yard radius around them. If he ends up moving, they go back into the real world. All right, I'm about ready to call it. Dre, who? Let's. We'll. I'm gonna ask you here. Who do you think wins this? Who do you think wins this? I guess I've given my 2 cents. I think, again, the Kaiser is massively powerful. I think, really, quite a few others on this list. If he went against them, it'd probably be a low to mid diff. But again, we're talking about these characters that got portals and other beings and all kinds of stuff like that. Um, it, yeah, the Kaiser's out of his league for sure. Um, the Kaiser's out of his league. So, Dre, I know. So I'm asking Dre guys specifically here because Dre was going to be a part of this live, but we had some technical difficulties, and so So I do want to get his 2 cents as well. But again, and while he's responding or potentially responding, I do want to go into my side comment that I had that I was going to go over when we get to this next matchup, Bolt versus Matrix. Um, some people were aware of where Bolt was on the pecking order, right? But one of the things that we are trying to kind of get across, well, everybody doesn't know, right? And that was kind of one of the intents of this tournament, right? Like, hey, we dropped some characters in here, and all we had was a picture. Not a lot of people dropped. I don't think anybody really dropped what the characters could do per se. Um, and so it was, we have now Omen in the low tier side when he should have been in the high tier side, and then we also have Bolt in the low tier side that should have been the high tier side based on the comments and stuff like that. So again, it's one of those things where we continuously want you guys to tell us more about these characters, so that people can know. And whether you have a lot to say about the characters or not, there's a lot of people in the group that have not experienced your character, that have any real knowledge about your character. So you might say, hey, and since we're talking about the Kaiser and Omen right now, you might say the Kaiser has telekinetic abilities like 7 times in 1 month. But guess what? There's 5,000 people in here currently that still might not see that, right? So keep sharing it, keep talking about it, keep telling us about what these characters can do, the inspirations and stuff like that. I was talking to somebody the other day in a message about that. Like, man, like let's the pinups are cool, um, all of that, but we want to know what they can do as they stand currently. And I think that you guys should be able to tell us what the characters can do without spoiling your story. I think it's very possible. If it's not, well, it's an area of opportunity, right? So so in this case, again, with these tournaments and stuff, and the lack of understanding that the majority of us have on each other's characters, please keep that in mind and continue to share and be excited about your characters. One small story, and I let it go. I think about when we were explaining to folks before about how when we're creating stories ourselves, and we have the book come out, and it's like, all right, book, bet, issue 1's out, all right, on to the next one. We don't give it time to fester. We don't give it time to build an audience and really build that foundation. We're just already hurrying up to get through that arc or get to that fight that we've been dreaming of, or why we started writing in the first place. But we don't really sit down and be like, hey, panel one, guys, did you notice that? Right? Or this guy, he did this move, which means, like we're not really sitting down and really letting people be excited about the thing that we got. We made something that didn't exist and made it real and tangible. So, like, talk about the characters. Stay excited, man. Like, the fact that Omen is Hopebreaker's son, there are so many variables that's added now to the story of Hopebreaker and that universe now, based on what we have here, that can be discussed, that can be talked about continuously for who knows how long. And again, we're not saying anything for any one particular character or creator or anything like that, but man, share and be excited about what you guys have. The verses are just icebreakers. Let me also say that, because again, there will be changes in the group soon. The verses are icebreakers for people to just learn more about each other's characters and be excited about the feats. But it turned into the core function of the group, and that was never the true intent. It was just supposed to be the icebreaker. So we'll have updates in regards to that. But yeah, and talk about the characters. It's about visibility, collaboration, and camaraderie, man. So anyway, that aside, Dre did provide an answer. Let's go to it really quick. It looks like we're on the same accord. He says, I give it to Omen. No matter if it's close quarters or far away, he could only stall him, which will eventually lead to his death. Absolutely. And yeah, Tasha, yeah, exactly. We want to know what they do, who they are, what inspired them, cool things in the story. Dre says, what drives them, how they think, their actions, their motive, how they use their abilities in creative ways. Pay attention to the environment as well. That's another big thing. When we do these matches, when we do the events, let's pay attention to the environments. What is in this environment that could be used to your benefit? For the opponent, what's in this environment that can be used to their detriment, right? Ask those questions, because we're using an indie location right now, member of this group of mod, and I made sure to post that in the initial post. Ask the mod questions. Hey, what is in the precipice? Right? What does that planet consist of? What's the oxygen content? Is there a city structure? What are the rocks and stuff made out of? That type of thing. So that we can get like real good in-depth conversations, but not only understanding each other's characters. Man, you just understood the mod's location and all of that. Now you want to ask him, well, what exists there? What else is in your universe? So on and so forth. And that's the conversations that we want to encourage in here as well. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and nip that one in the bud, ladies and gentlemen. The Kaiser versus Omen goes to the Omen. And dare I say, this matchup for Omen is low diff. He takes that, no problem. I'm going to update it here. Oh, goodness. Move this slightly. Oh, I cut my keyboard off. Yuck. There we go. So Omen wins that one. So we are going to move over to the next matchup here. We have Bolt versus Matrix. Now, based on what I've seen in the comments already, and I just mentioned it a second ago, in this matchup, Bolt should be in the high tier. He should be in the high tier. Now, what we're going to be exploring is to see if Matrix has anything that will stand a chance or do any kind of damage or stuff like that. But again, another prime example. Bolt looks like somebody that just has electrical power. So I made the assumption he on the same, if we use mainstream examples, right? He's a static shock, black lightning, again, city tier type situation. I only had the picture. So apologize. I didn't know the game yet. I apologize. So let's look at the comments. This looks interesting. Can't wait to find out more on these characters. That says these are cool looking characters. Yep. Guys, see the character bios. Need to know more about Matrix. So this one had the second most comments. Let's see if there's anything about. So Bolt is low tier question mark. Yeah, see some folks knew. So some folks knew about where Bolt stood. I unfortunately was ignorant to what he had going on. Bolt should be high tier, if I'm not mistaken. Indeed, in our story, Bolt battled an entire alien fleet with little effort and went toe to toe with Dev Uru, to whose will reality bends its knee. That is ridiculous. I thought he was in a higher category. Da, 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 da. It is what it is. Yep, pain is weakness in the body. All right. We got this card here, but um, no moves and stuff like that. I still want to hear more about Matrix. All right, here we go. We got a little something, something here. And so, anyway, all right. So, Kale Jackson, 6 foot, 220 pounds. Skills and abilities, assets. Hold on. A good reason it's a good idea to drop character stats or tiers when throwing them out for matchups. And so, yeah, yes. And so, for the uninitiated that weren't here before, how we used to do it was exactly that. We'd say, hey, here's a matchup, creators, drop your power stats and abilities. But man, everybody ain't got time all day, every day, as soon as a match drops to be like, oh, let me type all this up. So that's one of the reasons that we created the database. No. I know. No, I know. I'm just saying. For the uninitiated, that's what we used to do. But I'm leading into why we created the database. That was one of the things that was frustrating, right? I'm sure. It's like, okay, well, I found out about this match last minute and I gotta type all this up. Dadgummit, right? So it's like, got a database, so now we take that process out of your hands. We post the character, the matchup, and all that stuff, and drop the cards for you, and then boom, right? You can add some more context in regards to the character's personality and stuff like that, but then they have all the information they need to come up to with their determination as to what character should win, should battle. But yeah, in this, again, we are asking. We have these exhibition matches. Um, I'm sorry, I got thrown off for her fine self. All right, so anyway, when we do these matches, when you guys do your exhibition matches and stuff like that, please, of course, give us the context that's necessary for your character to shine. So anyway, back to reading this here. He's got the Centrifuginite armor. I think I said that right. He's an excellent archer, good at hiding, good at finding close up, uses cool high-tech armor and weapons, heals quickly, can control energy. That's massive, actually. Okay. Super good senses, special vision mask. His bio, a strong archer who works with Lights of Lamentation, a group known for being very precise and having advanced tech. Uh, uh, Kyle wears a special suit that helps him move easily and protects him. His armor also built in weapons for close fights. Kale's arrows and other weapons are made from super strong materials. He also has something under his skin that makes him think and react faster. His suit is very light but also very tough, even tougher than his armor. Wait. So he has a suit under the armor. I'm assuming that. Kale is a quiet, dangerous fighter. He's so good at hiding that he can almost disappear. His aim with his bow is perfect, and the bow itself can even become stronger. I want to know how it becomes stronger. Kale is a key member of the Lights of Lamentation and is known as a very effective archer. That's what I thought too. Yeah, so I was in the dark on that one. If any questions about the character, feel free to ask. That's what BC had said at that point. Actually, looking forward to this and the Bolt book. What are the special properties of his armor? His armor is made of centrifuginite. Again, if I'm saying that incorrectly, my bad. But it's the material is called Desperanite Morphos, which is not mentioned as it is a subsystem acknowledgement, as the system is non-mechanical and reacts to his movement and actionary reflexes. Let me say that again, because I think I'm missing something. Desperanite Morphos. In parentheses, it says, which is not mentioned as it's a subsystem, acknowledgement as the system is non-mechanical and reacts to his movements. Okay. Like Samus the subsuit under the prime suit. Yeah, I got you. Um, I think I got thrown up by the Desperate Knight situation. Is a polymorphic element created by condensing centrifuge by using black matter and removing kelptons that disperses and dissipates various forms of energy, making it ideal for defensive applications. Desperonite still contains the active properties of black matter, and again, I'm botching that name up. Centrifuge or fusionite. However, the removal of the kelptons make the materials almost weightless. Okay, so okay, got you. So it's a heavy duty suit, but it's okay, but it's lightweight. All right. It says Kyle can control energy, which that's why I said a second ago too. I was like, yo, that's actually real heavy. We need to know about that. What kinds of energy and what properties does his armor have? Lex and Tony are men in armor suits too, but they battle gods. Let's hear more about Mr. Jackson. Black matter is not to be confused with astronomical dark matter. This is a highly absorptive, near perfect vacuum of space within a localized physical construct. It pulls in all forms of energy and matter, acting as a miniature controlled singularity. This is a fabricated or artificially stabilized micro black hole or region where exotic matter fields induce extreme space-time curvature. Its perfect absorption implies a complete lack of reflection or emission across spectra. Centrifuginite is usually used to prevent runaway accretion. This could involve complex magnetic confinement or a surrounding field generated by secondary blue matter usage in the process. It is used for ultimate waste disposal, stealth cloaking by complete energy absorption, gravitational weaponry or armor, and as a theoretical component in reactionless drives by controlled hawking radiation manipulation. Phase transitions between liquid, semi-gaseous, and solid states. Fusionite abilities consist of non-conservative multimodal force dispersion, effective energy absorption, and redirections. I need to know more about Bolt because his electric manipulation seems moot now. Yeah! Anything below cosmic level, including some magic. What are Bolt's abilities? Any panels or art that showcase either Bolt's or Matrix's ability. Okay. What are Bolt's abilities? Come on, Bolt. Where are you at, bro? Okay, we got something. I was getting worried. All right. Absolute strength, absolute speed, absolute flight, absolute endurance. What does that mean? What does that mean? I apologize. I am I'm sorry. Um Density manipulation, gravity defiance, teleportation, unlimited energy absorption, manipulation, detection, creation, energy clones, unlimited electrokinesis, invulnerability, resistance to magic, psionic attacks, immortality, gap, healing factor, reality bending, immunity. Man, we went from this guy looks like he got lightning to him being God. Like what the heck? True, I know. True mixed martial arts master, playful defenses, elusive fighter, doesn't like to be touched, fights hand to hand in combination with his energy output, living battery to the multiverse. He's a living battery to the multiverse? Okay. Matrix is cooked, y'all. Firstborn to the Supreme. Uh, that's Fifth laughing. Firstborn of the Supreme Creators. Doesn't fully know about his lineage from memory loss, but understands he may be the most powerful individual anyone has come across. Dislikes so-called and self-proclaimed gods. Okay. If absorb all forms of energy and basically is render mute like force applied to Cap Shield. Yeah. Yeah. Dre says, this is what he says, I read that, but Dre says on the original post over here a couple days ago, the energy manipulation cancel each other out. It says Bolt is defiant to gravity manipulation, not immune to it. Matrix can manipulate gravity, Bolt seems to have the speed and strength advantage, but Matrix armor is also a card to play. Gravity Defiance goes past the initial change in Dissension, but Bolt will adjust in seconds, only because he isn't used to it on a consistent basis. Dre proceeds to say, "What is his counter for for the armor that makes him slightly immune to physical attacks? He could just take it off piece by piece, strong and fast enough to punch a hole through him, separate his appendages from his body. Gah! I know the material is hella tough, but I don't see anything like that negating his strength. What is the choice of action against both speed and endurance? BC says speed produces energy to which Bolt has absolute speed and excessive speed, creates a curvature in space and time. If he so chooses to move that fat, wait a second, am I confused? Bolt has absolute speed. Okay, so I guess he's bringing up the fact that yes, that Bolt's kind of got the edge here. Let's read the rest of that. It has absolute speed, and excessive speed creates a curvature in space time. I should have just read the rest of it because that's not what he's doing. If he so chooses to want to move fast enough to avoid detection from the kaleidoscope optics, the closer he gets, and especially throwing a punch, the impact is dispersed, causing a concussion wave back at himself. And the energy exerted, being absolute, adds more power to the concussive wave. The black matter factor absorbs any other energy release. Furthermore, he's an exceptional combatant, an evasive fighter. His bow is strung by black matter fiber, to which it can project his arrows at quite fast speeds. His weaponry and underlay armor is composed of infinitrate, osmiumite, obsidianite, the Deathrite alloys, Oxnite. Oh my God, I'm boxing this up. Onyxnite and Transcendenite, Dinitite. The things that the Lights of Lamentation have to fight are not easy pickings, and usually they fight in teams for numbers. And then we get the same. No, we get a little bit of more information that wasn't on the initial joint. We got the excellent archer. We've got skilled in stealth, camouflage, proficient in close quarters combat, utilizes advanced high-tech armor and weapons made from super strong materials, which we just botched up in naming, possesses enhanced senses and reaction time due to subdermal implants, can control energy and heals extremely quickly, wears a special vision mask for enhanced vision. Now, his bio has a little bit of extra information that we didn't have in the other thing. So, special ops combat tour, 5 special ops combat tours. Ex-operator in Delta Force and Joint Task Force 2 of Canada, is a formidable archer and key member of the Lights of Lamentation, group known for their precise and advanced technology. He wears a specially designed suit that provides flexibility, protection, and built-in weapons for close combat. The suit's material, we went over that. Kale's arrows and other weapons are crafted from exceptional materials, including all those botched up names, which provide unparalleled strength and durability. His subdermal implants, featuring another botched up name with quark injection, enhances cognitive functions and reaction time, making him a highly effective fighter with reflex reactions, easily surpassing the common housefly and housecast. As a quiet and deadly archer, Kale excels at hiding and disappearing from sight. His aim with his bow is flawless, and the bow itself can adapt to increase its power due to the make of his draw. Kyle's skills and advanced technology make him a valuable asset to the Lights of Lamentation, and his reputation as a precise and lethal archer continues to grow. His arrows number in various effects as needed due to being symbiotically adapted to the armor and his internal cognition function. Let me ask this, and if anybody has additional knowledge that I don't, let me know. But does this group have so much knowledge on the workings of the multiverse that they have created things that could take on gods? Because we're talking about a character that is, and again, with these exhibition matches and these matches where we don't go based on the database, everybody is at their full capacity. So we're talking about a character that is the living battery to the multiverse, firstborn to supreme creators. Although he doesn't fully know about his lineage from memory loss, but understands he may be the most powerful individual anyone has come across. So, like, we have somebody that has density manipulation. He can make himself so the longer he holds his draw, the stronger the arrow. Right. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm gathering from that too, Jay. Um, he can create energy clones. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's so much in Bolt's arsenal versus a guy that has the bow. Not downplaying Matrix at all, because honestly, if he wasn't going against Bolt and Omen wasn't a character on there, never mind. The Kaiser is probably with the telekinesis a problem. I'm thinking about the bracket here right now. Matrix versus Grave would have been a really good fight. Matrix versus Black Bat would be a no diff for Matrix, but this entire side of this low tier battle that he's on, it's a mismatch. You're going against gods. It seems they can tank beings like him, but as a team, right? They got to be a team. I don't know what this link is that just popped up in the How to Indie Versus, but if you don't mind looking at that, it looks like it might not be something that's appropriate. There's something that somebody dropped a link in there from a website that did not seem right. In the actual, no, not in the group, but in the chat, the How to Indie Versus. It auto-deleted. Guys, if you guys see that somebody posts something inappropriate, man, let us know. But thank goodness we have a system that automatically gets rid of inappropriate content. If y'all see somebody drop inappropriate content successfully, let me know so that we can get them up out of here. We are not tolerating people dropping, corn in these chats. Very inappropriate and all this other stuff. Please cut it out. Yeah. The chat, yeah. Not the live chat, but yeah. So yeah, it seems they could take so they could take on these beings, but they gotta work as a unit. A 1v1, it's not fair. It's not a fair matchup. And again, I was gonna say that's on me, but no, that's on y'all. Y'all gotta let us know what these characters could do. Y'all gotta let us know what them characters could do, because this match is another mismatch terribly. Now, thank goodness, now we got two beings that are on this tier. Bolt versus Omen is gonna be a much better match, but I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. There's nothing. Omen's not taking that. He's not taking that. They just tried to post it again. I don't know what this is, but please stop. Excuse me. I'm gonna keep it a buck now. Dre, what are we thinking? Oh, we rumbling. What's going on, Lonzo? How you feeling, bro? But yeah, unfortunately for Matrix, in my opinion, he does not win that matchup. Now, I also want to say this. I had a full transparency. I had a moment of frustration because I was like, man, I didn't get any explanation from either side as to how the character would win. And the specific thing on the post is best explanation wins. And we got no explanations on how your character wins. And again, to make it extremely clear as to what I'm looking for, I dropped a link to how I described a match between a Vorley and Jupiter Man, Delta Dogs versus Black Bow, Amani versus Merce, right? I'm not asking you how to put dialogue or anything like that, but like take a look at those matches and be like, so first my character would do this, assuming because this is this guy's abilities, I would assume that he would try to do this. However, I would answer with da 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 da. That's what I'm looking for, right? So that's just like, okay, who's actually learning about each other's characters? Who's actually taking that time to understand each other? Does it take more work than just saying two action figures fighting against each other? Yes. But the outcome is you guys build more camaraderie. You guys understand each other's characters. And through that, other people will be more interested in your characters and learning about those mindsets that you guys will have obviously come through in your explanation for your characters, or at least hopefully. Bolt wins against Matrix 1v1. Hell, he might take the team as well, but it would be much more difficult. I absolutely agree. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are on to the final match of the day. One that had way more comments than the previous. Let's say way more. This last one had 36 comments. But I am hoping that there's some explanation. I don't think I saw who. Okay, yeah. So there was 13 for Bolt and 6 for Matrix. So the popular vote did also win the match. So kudos there. Absolutely good match. Let's look at Hurricane versus Solar. I'm gonna be honest, this is the one I was most excited about. I do know more about Solar than I know about any of the previous characters. Hurricane, I've had the pleasure of reading the entities, so I do have a little bit of understanding about the world. I say cautiously, so I might be able to see where they're coming from in regards to these things. But regardless, let's look at who the popular vote goes to. Actually, Hurricane with 13 versus Solar's 7. All right. He said Black Bat is ruined. I'm just putting that out there. Yeah, let's hold on. Let's go to the bracket really quick for you guys. So currently, right now, the matchup next go around. So next week, we will be going over. We're gonna be doing 8 matches next week. So, honestly, maybe not. We'll probably just do. we'll do. I said 8 matches. We'll do. Yeah, no, that's 8 matches. I don't know if I want to do 8 matches in 1 week. We might do the God tier match, let that happen next week, and then the following week we do the low tier, and then we have the championship for both that following week. Or maybe we just go all out, man. Depending on the comments and stuff like that. You're welcome for the comment booms. Hey, thank you. Thank you. No, we did talk offline about that. Thank you for getting everybody to continue to kind of discussing the characters and stuff. I'll let you guys know. All the matches will probably go up this week, and depending on how I'm feeling the next time we go live, either next Saturday or Sunday, then I'll let you guys know, and then we'll see. But next week, as you guys can see on the bracket, we have Grave versus Black Bat, and yeah, based on their power set, it's looking like Grave, but Black Bat might surprise us. And then we'll have Omen versus Bolt, where I am expecting, hopefully, Roscoe is available, hopefully Spiff is available. I need all y'all got on that one. I need y'all to be able to put those explanations in and give us all the ins and outs of the character. And now we're about to determine on this next one, Heartline, Menace versus Gago versus whoever wins between Solar and Hurricane versus Gaia. So that's going to be a good one. So anyway, let's go back to, I'm going to close this. Let's head on back over here to the matchup proper. Again, shout out to Dre for getting people to talk a little bit more in the comments and asking those questions to get that pertinent information about what each of these characters can do. Now, the determining factor here, we're going to find out. We're going to find out whether or not anybody put an explanation in that joint. Once they get posted, I'm on their necks. I need all the information. Absolutely. So, here we go, y'all. Prince said, what are Solar's powers? With Hurricane's ability to manipulate oxygen levels and change the density in the air, I feel like this could give an edge and tire out Solar, at the very least slow him down. Also, with Hurricane's ability to teleport using wind current, he could easily avoid some attacks. So, Thad responded with Solar's powers. Solar energy manipulation. He can create, shape, absorb, and manipulate internal and external solar energies. All sun energies, including light, heat, fire, nuclear, and plasma, grant him great power, capable of channeling personal electromagnetic and thermodynamic forces. Does that include gravitational field? Good question by Tavis. Not really, bro. At this point in the story, his powers don't really have a gravitational force attraction, but is rather used as a conductor for all heat to travel through. That proceeds to say, through his Voltarian spark, Solar can see and analyze matter down to an atomic level. With Voltarian bloodlines, he can process information 10 times faster than the human mind, and with the change in oxygen levels, Solar would analyze that situation. With there being a page, though not letter, gives us an idea of how that works with the periodic table situation happening in front of his face there as he's analyzing a particular situation. So, Solar's ability to manipulate all heat sources around him, combating wind strength. Let me say it again. Solar's ability to manipulate all heat sources around him, combating wind strength. He creates pressure differences in the atmosphere. All right. Dre asks, could his master of atmospheric pressure and winds and climate control nullify the flame that Solar emits? Prince actually responds, says absolutely, but if I'm not mistaken, fire needs oxygen. Hurricane could easily manipulate oxygen levels to take the flames away. All right. Thad says the power suit recycles the UV thermodynamic energy throughout the lining of his suit, as if the sun was directly shining on him. This is effective in daylight and nighttime conditions. Solar also possesses helio-combat merging that allows him to infuse the power of the sun into his strikes. This gives him a boost in power and strength. So it's not. So one of the things is that we are making sure to clarify is that he has sun powers, not firepower. So it's a bit different because in regards to how solar energy works in regards to that. So it's not putting out flames per se. Um, I think that's a common misconception. I don't remember the technicalities off the top of my hand, offhand. Um, but yeah, I don't think you can blow enough wind to put the sun out per se. But I think we're going into this with the idea that he is just conjuring up fire. So that might put a damper on his plan with that here. Um, let's go to Thad's response. Power suit recycles the UV. Oh, we read that. This is what was. We read that already. What is the power suit cap? Solar can produce a massive amount. This is Dre speaking. Solar can produce a massive amount of power. And with the life cycle of the sun and various stars, how does the suit calibrate to the output of thermal? No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Um, Trying to preserve the story, Lloyd. I should have probably included the literate page. No, you were perfectly fine. We got everything we needed from that page. We saw him looking at the various elements and stuff like that to decipher what he needs to do in that particular situation. You are good. He can manipulate all heat. Wonderful. Again, we don't want spoilers, right? But I don't. Again, I don't think that saying that your character is manipulating solar energy is going to spoil the story, right? Saying that hurricane can travel through wind currents isn't spoiling the story, right? Telling us about the nuance of the character's personality shouldn't spoil the story. So yeah, we're not asking you to share completed pages with the lettering and all this other stuff on there. We're asking that you just, talk freely about, think about when you go to a convention, right? Or when you're selling it online or doing a video about your character and you're trying to build interest, right? You're trying to build interest. There is a certain amount of the story that you need to share with people in order for them to be interested in the character. It's more than just my character can sneeze and destroy everything. What is something that's happening about the story that this character is a part of? It's gonna make me interested in buying it, right? So if you don't have that, and you are planning on selling books, consider figuring out what you can share, what you can actually say about your character in a concise manner. And I hope through this you get that practice. And again, just that was a sidebar based on what you said just now. Was the solar suit capped? Solar can produce. Hold on. Let me reread what Dre said. Solar can produce a massive amount. With the life cycle of the sun and various stars, how does the suit calibrate to the output of thermal and solar energy? After all, there is metal on his armor and his blades, which we know are made to be conductors for his heat. But they were forged. Which means they have a melting point. Dre, you asking the right questions. That says, question, bro. Similar to Supergirl in the Crisis of Infinite Earths Part 3, the solar energy has to be released at some point. It can't stay stored without energy emissions, or else solar can implode eventually. That's why in flight, the energy trail left behind him is releasing while absorbing new thermodynamic energy through the suit absorption. In battle, the helio combat merging releases that energy with each strike. Energy blast can also releases while the power suit maintains a balanced energy level. Yeah, the blades are a non-factor at this point. He hasn't been gifted those blades as of yet. All right. So Dre responds, since the sun can be infused with Helio's combat style, is it safe to say the sun gives him a significant boost in power? So does said boost decline at night? And if so, couldn't Hurricane use his atmospheric abilities to blot out the sun, decreasing Solar's abilities' overall power, giving him a better chance of overwhelming him, casting lightning, strong winds, snow, rain, hail, etc., to overload his Portarian spark with sensory level information? 100%. It's his hidden strength boost that doesn't show up necessarily on that stat card. His strength, off of being a hybrid between human and Fotarian, is a baseline of up to 25 tons at this point. And the Helio Combat Merging adds extra strength on top of those hits. But he doesn't maintain the Sun strength. Can you tell them to bring it down just a little bit? They acting like they at the amusement park. But he doesn't maintain that stuff. I know. They weren't this loud yesterday. Just hand-to-hand combat infused with Helio merging. Solar can also disrupt wind fields with radiant heat, which would assist in expanding thermodynamic pressure as a counter move. So element versus element, heat versus wind. I think where solar starts is the analyzing the drop off in oxygen levels and pressure. If Hurricane attempts to change the molecular balance, Prince, extreme heat can alter and outright dissipate even the most powerful weather patterns. How does Hurricane deal with small solar irradiated atmosphere around solar at all times? I feel as if his best bet is to continue to manipulate the air density, making it harder for Solar to move and try to slow down his heliokinetic powers, even if the winds can't stop or contain it. At the very least, changing the density in the air should definitely slow it down. All right. He says Solar would definitely have to prepare the change in air density. The vacuum pockets could definitely disrupt the battle. The solar flare that emits from his left eye could counter oxygen control and then thin out environments, in thin air environments. The Flotarian spark enhances his analysis by slowing down movement where he is able to see muscle twitches and contractions. He can also see molecular changes in the weather, such as, that's what I was going to say, as oxygen depletion and pressure variances in the air. Like, he's going to be able to see this at base. He's going to see whatever changes the hurricane does and get a feel for what he's capable of doing, right? He's going to see him utilizing the air, the winds, and stuff like that, and be like, "Ooh, he's doing that." I imagine he's going to dive into it's time to get active. It's not, we can't hold back now. Let's go ahead and finish this guy up because it could be a problem, and if I let this drag out. But let's read the rest of what they got to say. Also, because fire and heat can still be pulled and moved by wind currents, which Hurricane can control, I think Hurricane can use this to his advantage. While he's teleporting using the currents, he could bring some of Solar's flames with him. Now, this could hurt Hurricane with possible being burned, but could start to fire with fire by pushing and moving the flames that Solar is creating to attack him with his wind attacks. Thad agrees. If Solar overextends himself and overuses his radiant powers, it could create fire hazards in the surroundings, which Hurricane could manipulate if made flammable and vulnerable to heat that wouldn't affect Solar, but definitely a problem if we have civilians and innocent bystanders nearby, which, being that it's taking place in the precipice, that's not a problem. Information on wind combined. This is Sean Glover here. Information on wind combined with fire/heat. Wind can make a fire significantly larger and spread it more rapidly. Strong winds provide more oxygen to the fire, increases its intensity, allowing it to burn hotter. They also carry burning embers, which can ignite new fires, spot fires, far ahead of the main fire front, accelerating its spread. Wind increases the intensity and spread by supplying oxygen, preheating fuels, and carrying embers to new areas. It also bends flames closer to unburned fuels, drying and igniting them faster. In essence, wind intensifies combustion by providing a constant influx of oxygen and heat transfer, while also spreading that fire by transporting burning material. Oxygen supply. Wind acts like bellows, constantly feeding a fire with fresh oxygen, which is a key component for combustion. This increased oxygen supply allows the fire to burn hotter and faster. So Prince says, so if he could suffocate the fire, Hurricane can start to manipulate by pushing the flames and using Solar on fire against... wait a second. If he could suffocate the fire, Hurricane can start to manipulate by pushing the flames and using Solar on fire against, while still being able to teleport and changing the density in the air. I think the problem is, like, regardless if, the semantics of Solar utilizing fire specifically and all of that, the fact that there's more heat is where the other problem is. Like, as you're trying to suffocate and stuff like that, and if it's causing If the winds are causing more flames, so on and so forth, or intensifying it, it's only going to continue to make Solar more powerful or give him more things to manipulate, right? Or more heat to manipulate. So Prince says, not Prince, I don't skipped over that, I'm sorry. Attempting to suffocate Solar wouldn't work as well because of the cells in his Voltarian biology, and his cells allow him to absorb radiation, giving him internal circulation. So then Prince responds, how would Solar counter Hurricane's ability to manipulate the oxygen levels while avoiding his aerial kinetic attacks? Thad responds, Solar immediately scans, I'll read that in just a second, that immediately scans the change in molecular structure with his Voltarian spark, detecting abnormal drop-offs in oxygen and pressure. Solar could also release a plasma burst to expand air and break through high pressures. He has a solar I see what happened. For whatever reason, it kicked my camera out. Um, uh, 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 um, a lot of their powers cancel each other's out. This may be a battle of pure hands. That says absolutely might come down to the close quarters 1v1. And if it does, I think Solar is going to feed him the knuckles, mainly because his combative skills and his analyzation and perception abilities. We have a couple more comments down here. Whoever wins is getting packed up by Kaya. Golly, Dre. Bro, go back and look at that stat card. Hand to hand, Solar is running the fade with anybody. I got Solar winning. Give it to Solar because once he analyzed the scope of things, he will right. He's it's what he's got. It's what he's got in his arsenal. Um, can Hurricane be displaced once in his air form? Because extreme heat can cause air molecules to move faster and expand, effectively displacing other air molecules. Did he answer that question? Okay, I do see a message from Prince. Oh, I just have to go back to this stat. That says the Voltarian spark provides the playbook on how we need to approach the battle. The change in air density he could see coming. Yeah, right. And we're back. Yep. Right. So again, yeah, he could see all of these things. So it's not really, he's not really getting, Solar's not getting caught off guard because of the Voltarian spark and being able to analyze and specifically see things that are changing around him on the molecular level. So changing the elements is not really going to, and then right, didn't even factor in the Fahrenheit force, which is the great equalizer. Yeah, right. And I don't even think we need to dive into that too terribly heavy. We'll read the rest of or some more of these comments. But I think, to be completely honest, and Dre, if it's a point in contention, let me know. But honestly, I'm definitely thinking Solar on this one for sure. Um, but let's see if he answered that question. So, extreme weather events can affect how the Earth receives sunlight, primarily through changes in cloud cover and atmospheric particles. Clouds can either reflect incoming solar radiation back into space, cooling the planet, or trap the heat and warm the surface. Prince says, I actually think Hurricane would create a vortex using the flames provided by solar and try to use the oxygen in the flames to counter or manipulate the flames. This is something Hurricane has done before with Helios. But I think there's a misunderstanding here. So for us, right, I'm not going to say how anybody else's stuff works inverse or anything of that nature. But solar energy and fire are two different things. So you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not going to be able to pour water on solar energy and put it out. That's a whole different force altogether, right? So we got two characters, Sol and Amani. Sol is specifically also pulling from the sun. his blast versus Edmani blast is two completely different scenarios and situations. And let's look it up. Let's see what the scientists say, right? Let's is the sun fire? Let's get the let's get that. Hmm. Yeah, it's not on fire. um it's primarily composed of plasma. All right. So I do see the explanation of continuously talking about putting out flames, but he's not using flames. It looks like flames, right? But it's not flames. So every retort so far has been based on, like, again, if this was Hurricane versus Edmani, we got a different conversation. We have a different conversation. Because she uses fire, right? Um, but that's not what we're up against here. And again, he has a screenshot from when he was fighting a character named Helios in the story here, in his story here. But again, whether he's using fire or properties from the sun, how his verse works, that's just it. But Solar's not using fire per se. Please correct me if I'm wrong in any capacity, Thad, in regards to your character. Yes, they may negate each other, but Solar will realize that he has to put the pause on them. Solar is a living solar battery miniature star. He can produce fire, but he dwells more in heat radiation plasma. Okay, so there we go. There we have it, right? So yeah, kind of cooked on that, right? I mean, we can continue to read on. Um, you know, but I'm gonna keep it a buck. We don't need to. It's already we're approaching the we're at the hour and a half mark here. We don't need to um, beat a dead horse here. I'm going solar. Um, I'm going solar. Y'all know I have a tendency to ramble, but yeah, this video doesn't have to be 2 hours when we have the answer already. So, Dre, do you agree with that? Do you agree with this determination? Which no, never mind. We just said. Yeah. So no, that's a wrap. That's a wrap. I'm updating it now. Let's move on over here. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we have right now is the following. Next week, whether we do 4 matches or 8 matches, that might end up being the long video. But next weekend, and throughout the week, we'll have matter of fact, I'm probably going to make the graphics today and have them all post throughout the day tomorrow, so that you guys have all week to discuss and debate which character wins, so that we could just dive right in and get these out of the way, right? And again, my hope, for if there was any confusion before or lack of understanding before, um, going through the back and forths are cool, but I want to get a feel for how you guys tell stories. So I want, whether it's just a paragraph or two, I want to know how your character wins. The battle starts. Let's take a conversation. The battle starts. Hurricane sees Solar. He starts to, he changes the wind. He disappears into the wind to get in close real quick, because he doesn't think Solar will be able to keep up with his speed as he traverses the wind currents. Once behind him, he decides to try to increase the density of the air around Solar to make him heavier and less able to maneuver out of the way of his next strike, where he creates a tornado and does da 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 da. Solar may be able to fire off a blast, but however, with the wind current, hurricane, that type of thing, right? So it's not even you waiting. Like, what I want you guys to do is ask to understand, right? And then here's my story. Here is how my character wins versus here my character wins. And then ideally, you guys show up during the lives. And then when we say, interesting, now I want to see live, what is this? What is that reaction back and forth? Would that work? Can he suffocate Solar with wind? Right? Are winds strong enough to move Solar and throw him off balance? Would the heat from the solar radiation displace the air molecule like that? Let's ask that live and actually have that. And again, get to the point. Maybe eventually, big maybe, eventually go to like what we do on the live show with the creator class. We'll be like, all right, come on and answer this question. And we had the opportunity to do that with Spiff and Rayshawn a while back when they did Hopebreaker versus Dark Spider a while back. So that would be fun, but like let's solidify y'all getting to understand each other's characters and writing a scenario that includes each other's characters to see who got the best explanation. I think that's awesome. We can battle action figures all day. I want to see what kind of stories you guys can tell where your character comes out on top, but also still respects what the other person has created and done. So I know it's possible. I've done several of those for other people's characters already. So I know it's very much possible, even with characters that are a complete mismatch. Go ahead and check out my Worley versus Jupiter Man. That is the most mismatched battle out of the 3 that I've done so far. And it was still fun, and it still respected what each character could do, their personalities, and all that stuff based on what we know. So anyway, I'm not going to belabor a point. I said this was not going to be a 2-hour long video. So coming down the pipe soon, we will be reiterating the rules and stuff like that. Please, 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 please. I mentioned this previously over the last couple of days. We do, and during this live, we want more substance in regards to posts. Meaning, again, like we said earlier, we want to know about your character. Like, quotes are cool, but what does that give us, right? I want to know, what is your inspirations? What do you guys, what tell us about what went into the character. Tell us more about the powers, the nuances, the science behind it, that type of thing. The personality of the characters, their friends, their families, their foes, the how the universe was created, that type of thing. Again, we don't want anything story breaking, right? We don't want anything story breaking, but what is the Sword of Justice doing while while Atridian is using those powers, right? Like, tell us about his teammates. Solar. Tell me more about the Fahrenheit Force. Again, just using examples, but like throughout the week, man, easy. 2 or 3 posts. Obviously, everybody's got lives. We're not asking people to dedicate their entire time and lives to these things. But if you're gonna make a post, and participate, please. The idea and the point of the group is for everybody, to grow visibility. In order to grow visibility, right, for your own stuff, you got to drop some interesting stuff. We see pinups in other groups. Let's keep it a buck. We see pinups in every other group. We see links in every other group. We see mainstream in every other group. We're not trying to be like every other group. We are trying to truly create something entirely different, something completely set apart from everything else that's out there. Something that is truly community led, and somewhere that creators and fans, more importantly, can come through and be introduced to the vast world of indie, right? And so, in order to do that, in order to keep building that interest and all of that, nobody wants to be sold to all the time at all. So that's why the big push for sticking to Sundays, right? But then with pinups, you're not giving me anything but a cool picture. Cool, but people want to know, what can this character do behind that? Like, the pinup is cool, but tell me more. Who is this guy? What is he fighting? Again, we run into issues like we did with Bolt. I didn't know he was that strong. We ran into issues like Omen. I didn't know he was that strong. I wouldn't have put him there if that was the case. We would have put him in the other bracket, right? And so, again, there's 5,000 plus people in here that have never seen your characters before. We're going on 2 years of this group later this year, believe it or not, y'all. We're going to be entering the 2nd year of this group, and there's been plenty of people that have come and gone. There's plenty of new people for you to build interest and to introduce your character to. So if you got to tell us that your characters, that Atridian's character, his alter ego is Rick Miranda, and he's a police officer, then say it. If I got to say, hey, Soul is Soul Jackson, and he's, he lives in Atlanta, and he has the powers of 2 Egyptian deities, Amon and Ra. If I got to say that for the 50 million times, fine. Because there's somebody out there that does not know that, and they may be looking for a story that you have, right? So please continue to engage with each other. Continue to talk about your characters. Talk about indie stories that you have supported and liked. That's another thing. If you guys are buying each other's books, if you guys are knowledgeable of each other's characters, share other people's characters. Say, man, this character right here, I read his story the other day. It's cold, bro. Go ahead and pick that up if you hadn't had the chance to, right? And again, I say cautiously because, again, we don't want to sell to people all the time. But again, still saying this was great, you should also check it out, is not going to be a problem, right? Support one another and share those wins. Because again, the most important thing or the biggest point of this group is building visibility for indie, right? We see, there's Spit popped back up just now, so I immediately think about the massive collaboration that all of them have, with the Hypnosis Authority, right? That's a major win, right? I've seen plenty of team ups and crossovers that are coming down the pipeline, stuff like that. That's amazing. Share that, but also dive into that, right? Like, oh man, I met this person and their character was so cool. Their character did this, and this, and I was like, man, my character does this. This would be awesome if. Give us that. Build that interest up. Talk heavy about those things. Pinups by themselves, they're not doing anything but taking up space. They're cool pictures. They give us no substance. Give us more intel and information, because the Indie Breakdown ain't fixing to be another dead group that just throws stuff out there. Buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. We don't want that. So anyway, that's all I got. Again, like I said at the beginning of the show, the official show, where all of this started for the uninitiated, is coming back. I will be starting up season 4. I have 7 people already. So that includes you, Spiff, and Anthony, again, if you're still interested. So I have 3 slots left for sure. So if you guys find that post, I might repost it or maybe not. I have 3 slots left, and then we'll go ahead and go through those interviews. And then we'll have our creator clash, and then we'll do another official matchup where I write a scenario up, similar to how I'm asking you guys to write scenarios up for how your character wins their matches and stuff like that. So that's what's happening there. And I think that's all I've got. So shameless plug, again, it's promo Sunday, so Midnight Comics has plenty of things coming down the pipe. So if you guys are in Atlanta, we'll be at Atlanta Comic Con this Friday through Sunday, so come check us out. We'll have our posts and stuff like that for that. Anybody that hasn't joined the Midnight Comics mailing list, you will get a free book, The Blue Morpho, sent to your email for free. So visit midnightcomics.org for that. And so, yeah, plenty more down the pipeline for that. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you as we continue to redefine power scaling in the indie world. If you haven't checked out that video, please do so. We will be doing the power stats section as I get used to my new schedule at work. But stay tuned for that as well in the near future. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in. And remember, until next time, midnight is coming. And we'll see y'all then.
Bitch, I'm